to look at all of that. But the first thing I must acknowledge, like I always say, is that the Odionmwereship system is the oldest system of governance in Edo land. And the titles of Olia, the titles of Idonhe, the titles of Ero, the titles of what's the other one? Eholo, and the titles of Ezomo precedes Ogisoship. It is one amongst these elders, Odolaja, and I don't want Ogiso.
Thanks for clicking on this channel. Please subscribe to Afo's blog history and click on the notification button so that whenever we upload a new video you will be notified. How did Ogiso dynasty start and where did they come from? According to Mr. Izadawa, the oldest traditional institution in Edo land was Odionmwereship. However, Edo people built on Odionmwere institution which later gave birth to Ogisoship. It was one of the Odionmwere and the 5 elders who established Ogisoship, and the Odionmwere became the first Ogiso. At the beginning of the Ogiso era and the 5 elders, their positions were not hereditary. The Ogisos never created any chieftaincy title and they were not the ones who created the titles of the 5 elders. The 5 elders are Aliha, Edohen, Ero, Iholer, and Izomo. The Ogisos ruled Igodo, assisted by the 5 elders. Mr. Izadawa further asked a question. Why is the burial ceremony duration of Izomo is the shortest among the 5 elders? He made it categorically clear that the 5 elders were not Ogiso's chiefs, neither they are Oba's chiefs, because their titles were not created by the Ogiso or Oba. He advises Benin people not to always involve in discussions concerning other traditional rulers in Nigeria on social media. For example, the trending video where other traditional rulers in Nigeria paid a courtesy call on President Bola Tinubu but Oba of Benin was absent. In conclusion, he said Nigeria does not belong to the Benins politically. Please sit down and watch as Mr. Izadawa explains.
Waya Bota. All said there. I want to quickly talk about a very important aspect of Benin history. Very, very important. Ohana, I came on. There are very few persons who understand the Naya. I'm going to divulge some secrets, deep secrets of Benin history. Deep secrets. So, get your questions ready and get no sand. Are there no sands? Okay. Why am I? Better worry. Now let's get our thinking cap. Very interesting story. We're going to talk about history. Okay, thank you. Before we talk about Ohuede, Dynasty. Before we talk about Ogiso Dynasty, it is important that we follow it very well. Ohagedo. Mena ya boedo. Iyi anoredo. Na boy. But I want to talk about an aspect of Benin history and the noise it's generator. I want to talk about something that has eluded our people, and we must understand that until we begin to fix the pieces of our history, we might not be able to get the wholesomeness and the uniqueness of it. Until we begin to question some certain things, we will not be able to tell our children some gaps, some loopholes in our history. So I want us to put up our thinking cap. First, my classes are usually very interacting. I like to plead with people to question my historical analysis. So that we cannot begin to look at some of these arguments. These arguments becomes a fulcrum at which we can shape in and solidify our history. Like I've always said, Emi Nimobo have a dead or there were bits of there are bits of loopholes in every historical analysis, but it is our duty as a people to look at some of the certain things that in order for me to basically understand our history very well, is for me to question some of what has been laid down. So, for the past few weeks, I have been questioning some of the histories of the Ogisos. I said to myself, who is amongst all these Ogisos? Abiaro Bawo, amongst all these Ogisos, where of the 31 Ogisos of Benin, which of them gave birth? Which of these Ogisos are the second dynasty is directly connected to? Why is the 10 Ogiso? Why did the later, at the twilight, at the ending of the Ogiso, they started to refer to what was Where was Ogiso Owodo situated? Gakona boy. These are questions. Where is the present? Where can you say Power Bana? Why I needed to ask that one? And one of our very illustrious and so was asking another person the other time that will not carry. So I was also asking myself, will not back carry. Yeah, is Yewonia Kere. These are questions we should be asking ourselves. We need to question our history to be able to exhume the truth that has been buried for years. So I was not thinking, where can I get the truth? I started to bring collections of books. My two favorite Ogisos. Basically, number one is Ogiso. Then I'm driven by policies because the ideas of Ogiso abounds to eternity. As far Benin Kingdom continue to exist. Then another Ogiso that must be spoken about in a very high magnitude is Ogiso Odoligie. Now, in all our historical classes and lectures, I have presented the role of succession. I have presented my arguments in different forums and fora, acknowledging that the oldest institutionalized system in Edo land is the Odionmwereship. Our Odionmwere aka amiere do akedo amiawo Ogiso. So the oldest institution of Edo land is the Odionmwereship institution. And the Ogwedion enshrines, encapsulates that institution. The Odionmwere encapsulates that institution. So, if we are to talk about pre-Ogiso history, we now begin to look at how many quarters precedes Ogiso Igudu, and how the Benins fared during the earliest years of their organization as a people. So we are going to look at all of that. But the first thing I must acknowledge, like I always say, is that the Odionmwereship system is the oldest system of governance in Edo land. It's the oldest. It's older than the Ogiso. It's older than the Oba institution and all of that. But these are pre-Ogiso history. But these institutions were built upon Abobaye Edomagworo. Abobaye Edomagworo. Now, I saw the other time someone was making analysis of Juzama. I want to state again, or the Edion, that the titles of Olia, the titles of Edonhe, the titles of Ero, the titles of what's the other one? Eholo, and the titles of Ezomo precedes Ogisoship. Precedes. the Ogisoship. In short, outside the Odionmwereship, the next in line of ideas are these 5 ancient figures. The Ogisos did not create this title. This title was already in their existence, performing their respective functions within the confines of their quarters or communities. Within the confines of their communities. That is where they were confided to. But at the turn, amongst one of them, get this, I want people to be very exact with history. Usunya Oladia Ogiso. It is one amongst these elders, Odoladia, and I don't want Ogiso. So it is wrong to now say that Ogiso formed these ancient figures. Oh, they were already in existence prior before the Ogiso era. It is one of them that now took the matter of leadership, united the frontiers of the quarters, but he understood that so now if you say gagbe niya de bainye na ya to tedomu. But it was not hereditary at the time where he had made them as his first and only cabinet members. It was not hereditary. So, I don't want to talk about Uzama, but I just wanted to do that clarification to know that it is not the Ogisos that formed Olia. They are not formed. If they were formed, if it was the first Ogiso that created the Olia title, there would have been a higher Ogiso. None of the Ogisos ever had chiefs. History 101. None of the Ogisos ever had a chief. In short, chiefs were not created at all during the era of the Ogisos. There were no chiefs. They were just Ogiso and 5 elders. So, no chiefs were created during the Ogiso era. The first chieftaincy title that was ever created is the Iyase chieftaincy title. And that was later on in the reign of Obaewedo. So get this. Amami Ogiso Mane Hanen. They were not having chiefs. Ogiso only had 5 of ancient figures that ensured at the time Benin wasn't too large for them to have so much people to decide the fate of the kingdom. So they were just Ogiso and 5 elders. But understand one fact. For whatever reason, when Ogiso Oriagba was making 4 of these elders an hereditary title, one cannot tell why he decided not to make Ezomo an hereditary title. One cannot tell why he decided not to make Ezomo an hereditary title. One, the history has eluded earliest historians. The history has eluded, was never archived or was archived by the Uwaron, but did not survive till date. One cannot tell why the earliest Ogisos did not archive the Ezomo. I was reading an history the other day that by history, Ezomo's burial, I want to give I want to give a quiz. Whoever that can get it, I will give you 10,000 naira. 10,000, a quiz. Because I want to say it. The Ezomo burial is the shortest burial for all Odion or chiefs in Benin Kingdom. The Ezomo burial must not last beyond 5 days. The burial of the Ezomo is 5 days maximum. The question is, why? Why even the contemporary chiefs that Ezomo is higher, some of them is being buried in 14 days or 21 days. But Ezomo's burial is 5 days. So whoever that can get why Ezomo's burial is the shortest of all Odion. You remember, Ezomo is not Ohaimoba, is not Oba's chiefs. So it is wrong to call him Chief Ezomo by the virtue of history. It is wrong to call him Chief Olia. It is wrong to call him Chief Edohen or Chief Eru. It is wrong. They are not chiefs. They are not Oba's chiefs. Obama made the Enia. You know, I always say it. Some of my friends don't get really too happy when I say that, but it's the truth. We follow history and not sentiment. Obama me age, Ogiso me age. The highest and Ogiso did for them was to make them hereditary. And they also did the highest for the Ogiso by also making Ogiso hereditary. Okay, Prince Odionmwere has written something. Said because he's a war general, to quickly appoint a new Ezomo to resume the duties of territory protection. But Iyase is also a war general. Iyase is also a war general. But why is Iyase not buried within 5 days? By nature. Ologbosha is also a war general. Imara, Chief Imara is also a war general. So, but let's begin to think out of the box. Alright? So, let me not deviate from today's topic. The dynasty of the Owede, or the Owede dynasty. I remember about 3 years ago, I read in a book, I can't remember that book. The book, I cannot remember that book. I can't seem to place my mind on that book. But the title of the book is The Dynasty of the Owede. It's the Dynasty of the Owede. So, when I asked one Epa at that time, who is an Ohwae chief priest. He was doing so much research on Ohwae. I don't know whether that Epa has completed the book because he's from Ikpe community. So he was very much interested in Ohwae. Alright. So he was doing quite a lot of research. I remember I asked him. We had intellectual conversation, but along the line, I discovered something. Now, the hereditary titles of Benins, or the succession titles of Benins have never always been straightforward. First, it was primogeniture at the very beginning. Then, after some time, Uhurena Laibo. Oh, Uhurema Laibo. Okay, I think someone corrected me the other time that Uhurega Laibo. It therefore means that title ceased to exist. So Uhurema Laibo, because the title is still hardy till date. So obviously, there was an interregnum. After the switch of interregnum, the Benin reverted to their original kind of rulership, which is gerontocracy. Ejon Amierebo and Ejon Onyebo. They went back to their original historical pathway, gerontocracy. At the level of the gerontocracy, some persons also discovered that it was not healthy for the growth of the kingdom. It's not healthy for the growth of the kingdom. So Ogiso Riagba pleaded, did not enforce. Like I said, these elders has always been there. If you want to take laws, these are the culminations of the law. The first act of primogeniture was the Oriagba Act. After the act of Oriagba, the second act, promulgated act of succession, is Ewakbe. And that is the act Nedoye till date. So I see some kingdoms whose succession act was created in the 70s. Were created in 70s. Were created in the 60s. How they choose who become their king. And I see these Motrum kingdoms, most especially in the red data and whereas the act, the promulgated act that guides the succession is dating back to early 18th century. That is the second and peradventure the last promulgated act that guides when I had your Bible do. I'm coming. That is the essence. Oh, it is the name of a person. I don't know what it means. Edonet Deno. It's the name of an Ogiso. So, eventually, Oriagba was able to wrestle that gerontocratic rulership. And only I think I've gone through this history before. So I will so Ave Ejon Awolia. They two wanna see anyone. Nous wele lao, nous we see anima. So that we will be instrumental in ensuring that only your line can inherit the throne. '17th century, no. Is this 17th century? Which year? Which year did Ewakwe reign? Was it not in the 18th century? 17 something something to 17 something something. Ewakwe is not that too old ago. Ewakwe didn't reign in the 16th century now. No, he didn't. He didn't reign in the 17th century because those 16 something something. Ewakwe should have been something 1703. Abi? Someone help me check. 1701. 1701 is 18th century. 1701, that's 18th century. If it was 16, from 1600 or from 1601 to 1699, that's 17th century. So I'm right. If it was 1701 that Ewakwe reigned, so that makes it 18th century. So the act was promulgated in 18th century, early at the turn of the 18th century. So like I was saying, the Odion now, who has to I think I've said these things. It was promulgated at Odawe Eimidu that the Ogisos must ensure that the sons, the first surviving son or the next of kin, must be the one to succeed these elders. Like I said, no one can tell why amongst 5 of them Ezomo was not part of that hereditary that was promulgated in the reign of Ogiso Oriagba. Ezomo only became an hereditary title during the reign of Abakenswa the First. Okay? Became an hereditary title almost 1,000 years later. Or say 1,000 years at 300. Okay, myself around 800 to 900 years later. That is when Ezomo now became. So Ezomo by nature would have been the youngest amongst these Odion by the level of Enakaya Debao 2, because he is the last that was added. Even a Daiken was added into this group long before Ezomo was added. So they were to maintain the succession line. So after Oriagba now, Oriagba had a son, which is one of the greatest of all the kings of Benin, Ogiso Odoligye. That is another project I'm currently working on. The legend of Odoligye. Now, after Ogiso Odoligye, who is the next in line? I say now, Oriagba gave birth to Odoligye. I think Odoligye gave birth to Ogisowa. Someone should help me check. Someone should help me check. I think Ogiso Odoligye gave birth to Ogisowa. The Ogisowa did not give birth. Uhurena with Laibo. No, let me stop using the word Uhurena Laibo. Uhurena Laibo. I mean, a Dorian in here. Uhurena Laibo means Ogiso stopped to exist. Alright, but what I meant, what I was trying to say is that Ogiso Wamabie, but someone should help me check whether it was Ogiso Odoligye that gave birth to Ogiso Wa. Now, Ogiso Wamabie, then the next surviving king let me not get this thing right. Okay, sorry. Ogiso Wabie, Ogiso Wa had a son called Ogiso Ekpenede. Alright? From Ogiso Oriagba to Ogiso Odoligye. From Ogiso Odoligye gave birth to Ogiso Wa. From Ogiso Wa gave birth to Ogiso Ekpenede. Yes, it's Ekpenede. Ogiso Ekpenede Mabie So the next of kin was reverted back to the line of the second son of their great grandfather, which is Ogiso Oriagba. I don't know whether we understand. I want us to get this very clear. It will give us a pictorial understanding of Menedoya ya Megi Ewegenede. Ogiso Oriagba gave birth to Ogiso Odolige. Ogiso Odolige gave birth to Ogiso Uwa. Ogiso Uwa gave birth to Ogiso Ekpenede. But Ogiso Ekpenede ma bie so now, when you say next of kin, the next of kin goes back to the patriarch. The patriarch in this case was Ogiso Oriagba. So they now look for Otien Odolige Nehere Wokbia, who was the first son of Ogiso Oriagba. So they now trace that line of who is the oldest in that second line of succession, and it now fell on an Ogiso, on a man called Owede. I don't know whether we understand. Let me repeat, because it's very interesting that we get this fact. Ogiso Oriagba, that was able to convince the elders to make this thing hereditary. Now, these elders, that is now called Uzamas, had one function to ensure that never a time would there be space, never a time would there be interregnum. It is their duty to ensure the continuity of the bloodline of Ogiso Oriagba. It is their responsibility to ensure that the interregnums that happened prior, before Ekpenede's debacle, should not repeat itself. So this Ogiso Oriagba gave birth to Odolige, Odolige gave birth to Uwa, gave birth to Ekpenede. Then this Ekpenede might be beer. So, but because there was already an established institution and a promulgated act of succession, it now became easy for we to fill that lacuna. So what the elders now did, since the first line of Ogiso Oriagba has been cut off, let's trace it back to his second line, which will now become the younger brother of Ogiso Odolige. So you have to trace a line in it. Then they now look at this eldest surviving. That is, who will now be the next of kin, the closest next of kin to the bloodline of Ogiso Oriagba. The closest next of kin of Ogiso Ehenede, they call it Ehenede, I mean, to the closest, the next of kin to Ogiso Ehenede must be a bloodline of Ogiso Oriagba. And they were able to trace it and trace it and trace it. The Edo people know how to trace. I'll give you another instance. When there was a divination that until Ozolwa marries his own sister, which was who later became Queen Omuwa, the queen mother that gave birth to two Oba. He will not be able to, there will be a termination of, how many of you are aware of that story? If he doesn't marry his own sister, who is also a direct line to Ogiso, who is also a direct line to Ogiso Owede, there will not be Ukurega Laibo to avert what was to happen. A young lady, a donor with Gualoe, you have to trace, and they were able to see a line of this Ogiso Owede, and they were able to see a lady, Eduna Oyo Omuwa, and that lady was from Udo. So, eventually, Owede was not traced. When Owede was not traced, he now continued the line. Listen attentively. From Ogiso Owede, all the Obas of Benin are direct descendants of Ogiso Owede. Are direct descendants of Ogiso Owede. So Ogiso Owede now became the patriarch of the line that has succeeded to date. So although Azoedo, the present lines of the Obas are direct line of Ogiso Ewakbe. Ogiso Ewakbe himself is a direct line of is it Ogiso Ewakbe? Oba Ewakbe is a direct line of Oba-Ugwola. Oba-Ugwola is a direct line of Oromia. Oromia is a direct line of Ogiso Owede. Understand this history. So that is why it is called the Owede Dynasty, the unbreakable line of all the Ogisos. And the point is, what I wanted to discover, along the line was, where did Ogiso Owede or where did Ogiso Riagba come from? Ogiso Riagba was from Ogbe. Do you get the gist now? The Ogiso Riagba was from Ogbe. So automatically, with what I have established by succession principle, Oriagba is the patriarch of both the lines of Odolige, which was cut off by Ogiso Ehenede, and the line of Owede Dynasty. So that Ogiso Riagba himself was an indigene of Ogbe. And that is why at a later stage Owede moved the seats of the seat of this what's it called, the palace, from Hundun to Ogbe. Ana atie Ogbogiso, Ogiso's homestead, because he moved it to the line to his village, Passe. So when people ask you, "Wawa Bakere," you know the answer now. Do you other know the answer now? Do you not know the answers now? So, these are established facts. So, Edonayaha, Owede, Ogisonobioba. Oh, many years Edonia, Ogisonobioba. the line of the Ogisos at which the Obas came from. The lines of the Ogisos of which the Obas of Benin came from. So I have been able to establish all of these facts to understand how it may be. Which of the Ogisos or Obiawoba, Ogiso Wede. It is actually also Ogiso Riagba. But because of the complexities of Okanya Bona de Benya Bowe, Aboni Nyani, if I do it type back. Otherwise, it would have been Ogiso Riagba Dynasty per se, not necessarily Owede. But because Okanya Bo Aboni Kekenya from Oriagba, Ori Wado Wazodu said the you know, I'm trying to get what what the Benin called lineage. I'm trying to remember the book I read that Anabe Ogiso Ogiso Wede or Bioba or Bakezo. There's a parable that says the lineage of the Obas came from the dynasty, from the loins of Ogiso Wede. You understand? You understand? You people cannot coin it. Like the lines of the Obas, Unye, but Unya Tiabi, Unyogoba, Igbo with the occasion. But I will get it when I will get it in our next class. If I remember, I'll be able to put it out. But Ediedoya interpreted that the lines of the Obas came from the loins of Ogiso Wede. So, and that is why we call it the Owede Dynasty. So, Owede no be Abioye Arigo, which he was an economist, an intelligent economist. Arigo, then I think Arigo would be a Owodo. Owodo be a Caladera and so on and so forth. Everybody knows the story from that aspect. So I wanted to establish that aspect of our history, that the Owede dynasty has not become, should be frequently talked about, so that people begin to understand the loins, the direction at which he becomes like more the patriarch. Owede became the patriarch of the present Oba dynasty. Ogiso no biawo bawo awe Ogiso Wede. That's what I'm trying to say. Wait, Oduwa, okay. Oduwa, from Owede to Oduwa, Oduwa to Obioye. Obioye had an economic issue. It was resolved by Arigo. Then Arigo to Owodo. Where's it? Ogiso Wede ni Obioduwa. Oduwa abia Obioye. Obioye obia Arigo, Arigo obi Owodo. Thank you for the correction. When every boom be ready, I give in the boom. So I don't. So I've been able to establish that fact. Then I'm coming back to the question that I asked, which my brother Prince Ogienes answered correctly. The reason that the burial of Ezomo must be done within 5 days in Benin Kingdom, this is the shortest burial for all nobles in Edo land, is because of his military position. The Edo cannot afford not to have a subsisting Ezomo because of He is the head. Is the head. I'm coming. I'm on it for. So coming. So when the car attacks you, so I think we are done with already. I've been one or two things I couldn't want to speak about before I round up. One, if I maritated, a big more packer can get with generator in Nigeria, most especially a big generator. No, it's terrible. So I wasn't happy that I saw pictures and videos that traditional rulers in Nigeria went to see President Tinubu, and some of the Benin people commented on the president page that the Oba of Benin is not like every other king in Nigeria, and as such he doesn't go to public meetings. That is so wrong. Some madness basically has to stop from our people. Some madness. For me, what are we trying to prove? Everybody knows that the Oba of Benin hardly goes for a public function. It remains like that. We shouldn't blow it out of proportion and not make it seems like every other traditional rulers that went for that event. Because if it's part of our Eastern tradition that gives us the pride that all that sort of a thing, that is our own pride. We cannot use the basis of our institution to judge other institutions. When you una pamisika can wanahwa, you expect that the Benin people should call for your head. Likewise, if you downgrade every other traditional rulers, you should expect their own people to come for your head. And when they come for your head, shut the fuck. You started it. You started it. Oba Benin do not go for a public function like that. It's rare. That is who our traditional institution is. If the other people like, let them go 500 times. It is not our business, Omakaima. And we should stop making so many enemies for ourselves unnecessarily. It's not worth it. Just out of it's unnecessary pride. No, the Benin people started it. Go to Tinubu's official Facebook page and I saw there and I was very angry. I was very angry. If you like, they go 500 million times. What way? Okay, if the Oba Benin decide to go tomorrow, which is almost impossible, but there's a possibility. What would we not say? The Mahanita. I don't know whether you understand. There's a level. For me, the only time I can go out to call out any traditional institution is when they try to undermine Benin Kingdom. But if what they are doing or whatever they are doing does not undermine Benin Kingdom, Ogisoship party 24/7. I just feel that we have to stop some certain attitude. We just have to stop some certain attitude. The Oba of Benin hardly goes to public function. That is who our institution is. If other people goes, it doesn't make them less. We love our institution just like other tribes love their institution. No, you get it very wrong. That is not what I do most times. That is, you don't know me. You're one of those persons who do not know me and judge me. Like I've just said, if you see me criticize any traditional institution, it is because truth. I can only agree with you on the issue of the Ooni of Ife. The reason is because no institution in the entire world have tried to bastardize our history than the Ife people. So I have personal beef with anything that has to do with all those people from within the cycles of Ife. So that is the only place you can hold me responsible. Otherwise, except I call them out. They are me down. So, but I just want to say that not everything must we bring our traditional institution. The Oba Benin did not go. It should be like that. Omayo. When they tell almost every day, I have with time and go. So it has to be extremely, very extremely not important, very, very extremely important. You understand? Very extremely important. It has to be very extremely before Oba Omonoba Keshi Itime Ogegwai I attend to. And I will time every single day. So if people are asking why, go and learn. Almost every day I will time why. So that is why it is very difficult for His Majesty to leave the palace. So, but those ones that has the levity and the whatever to leave the palace and go anywhere they can go, it's not this. So then we shouldn't go and be bringing problems to ourselves where there are no problems. So why we see with social media now? Why do I go there? Do I defend that do? But what is one boom? Why actually anywhere? Why actually? Because by nature, if anybody cannot do you, don't do it to any person. So I don't understand the level of Daniel Selugbe is speaking from. But whether we're in the same book or we're a different book. You understand? Now, it is easy for you to say that Maoba is this and this and that. When you allow that, if the Oba of Benin, which everybody knows, doesn't just go for a public function, it is part of the pride of an Edo person, and you should stop that. Don't go because of every other person went. Alright? Not because of every other person's have to go. See, when the issues of the social media war comes, why and Leo? What is all of this self-pride about? Yes, Tinubu has to come to the palace, but must you rub it in the face of the Tinubu? Must you rub it in the face of Tinubu? Do you know what the president of the country is? So come on. There are some issues that we are not supposed to be finding ourselves. Honestly, some tribes need that ordinary normal heke no gwe magwa. The way near yagwe magwa. But because of the fact that we feel, sometimes I feel we overdo it. There are things we are not even supposed to talk about. There are things that naturally we are not even supposed to discuss. That other obas they go eat a party, not they eat party jollof. That's denigrating. That's you insulting other kings. So we should all calm down, oh. Because if you want other people to tolerate you, you tolerate them as well. So let's learn to tolerate. I posted a video the other time when a guy was doing the list of it was really funny. The guy is very funny. You know, was so cool. But it's funny. But in that I enjoy the joke. I enjoy the joke. But you don't understand. Basically, by traditionally, Oba Benin is the most powerful king in Nigeria. But politically, he's not. Alright? Because Nigeria is not for us. Do you understand? Nigeria is not for us. Nigeria is not for us, basically. So, when you are talking about politics, Sultan of Sokoto will always be ranked higher than the Oba of Benin by the level of how Nigeria was formed. This has nothing to do with sentiment. You know, some of us have outgrown sentiment. We have outgrown. So when you are talking about politics, it's the Sultan of Sokoto and the Oni of Ife. Politically. Alright? But not historically. So when they rank some of these things, it is not our concern, because we know that historically even Sultan of Sokoto and Oni of Ife understand, say, shoe get size. So, but when people rank Sultan of Sokoto over the Oba of Benin, it is out of politics. And Oba of Benin is not a political king, so it doesn't concern us. Even if they put Oba of Benin for number 10, Omar Kaima, because he's not a political king. So people would naturally rank kings based on their political relevance. So I don't think some of these issues we have to blow them beyond what it should be. You understand? When you see people ranking it and you just say, ah, number 1, Sultan of Sokoto, number 2, Odionmwere, number 3, Oba Benin. What do you know about it? Because it's as a result of politics, not in the real sense of history. In the real sense of history, everybody knows facts. But in history of politics, everybody believes what they want to believe. So there are some certain things I feel that if we are knowledgeable enough, we just don't drag. Because if the president is to assemble all the royal majesties in Nigeria, Sultan of Sokoto will be rated number 1. Because that's politics. That's why Nigeria is not meant for us. This country is not meant for you. So, but that's the reality. So, there are facts, there are reality. We should understand the difference between facts and reality. We should understand between history and politics. When you're talking about politics, you talk about politics. When talking about history, you talk about history. So Oba Benin is not a political king. So when they are mentoring 10 most powerful kings in Nigeria and they rate the Sultan of Sokoto over the Oba Benin, understand that it is as a result of politics. It has nothing to do with history. So just smile and write. Well, politics, true, because politics from Nigeria. But traditionally or history, false. Alright? So, we shouldn't be over stressing issues. We shouldn't be stressing issues, over stressing issues. So now, so my matter be, yawa me matter no reme, I will be tired. So we shouldn't be over stressing issues and creating enemies and things that are not necessary. As a matter of fact, it is not even important for us to even be doing historical comparisons of which king is more powerful, which king is less powerful. Everybody, what we as an Edo people, I think, all right, should be thinking about is how do we grow Benin Kingdom? You understand? When you test small Peking, say you two get power, one day small Peking, Odionmwere. So there are things ordinarily you know that this is how it is. Allow it be. Why do overstress it? But now so this thing supposed to be. Now so this thing supposed to be. Why you want no matter having a go no bros. So we should rather stick to facts. Read ourselves from emotions. When we are talking, we should talk with facts, not emotions. Emotions doesn't give results. I've learned that emotion. If you want to debate people, you don't do emotions to debate people. You understand? People are doing political ranking of kings and they put Sultan of Sokoto. They are very correct. Yes, it's true. It's true. So now show do I otherwise I do not tight which is very now rampant. You see why most times I ignore a whole lot of topics. Most of all of the trending topics that has to concern Benin Kingdom, I just ignore it. But because I didn't know to tell even Enoge, let me not use Enoge. Our low-ranking chiefs that are even third-class kings in other lands, or making one argue say the fit tell you to your face, say, our king, na chief will not be even king, our chief is greater than your Oba. There's nothing you can do. He knows, oh. But because you don't do. Atamawe, wag be. How we can walk book when man said, they'll naturally fight back. So when issues like this are just, oh, okay, political listing of kings, yeah, yes, well, this is how Nigeria has been created politically, this is who they are. But for me, traditionally, as a result of history, Oba of Benin is in a class of its own. So, while you are discussing political kings, we would prefer you don't put the Oba of Benin. There are ways you discuss, not like Nala. So when we try to correct our people, they don't take it. But you ain't betting it. You ain't betting with social media and you ain't way to correct it. And that becomes, by the time you now have a debate with a very intellectual person from the people you are arguing with, then you now realize that what you were even fighting, not that he doesn't know that what you are saying is correct, but because you are oversaying it and it's not pissing him off, and that's why he's retaliating. So there are things you just see. You allow it be. Other monarchs went to see the president. The Oba Benin did not go. Or even saying where do I go here? Ordinarily, Oba Benin will not go. Are you expecting to see the Oba Benin there? No. So Wagi Taloi, where you see every king, they go except the Oba Benin. And you think these people will not reply, most especially Otinya or a president. So let's be discreet. Imagine if I'm the president of Nigeria. I will hold Oba in high esteem because he's my king. Now we should be very mindful of how we talk to some Yoruba kings because Otinya are already presidents. So we shouldn't, there's a level, Edowe enwa or say ha enwa wisdom. There are some certain things we are not even supposed, to be talking about. Edowe fnyagbe ema wopowa. There are some certain things I'm telling our people now. This tribe is disrespecting them. A tribe now, but waka be what they want na. Wawa you say when me tie. Oh, amana you say why we la dey tie. Waman you say because I saw Benin people's commentaries, and I saw when my ass one way we ever. And in the page of the president, there's a tendency that he might read it. There's a tendency that someone will bring this matter to his notice. And how do you think when, because of unnecessary talk that we are not even supposed to talk, if you are to allow a hair president, that the black say because the Oba Benin not come, black say people they feel say the Oba Benin is more powerful than the president of Nigeria. You know how things creeps into people's ears. And now you start to have the president fighting the Oba Benin because of your stupidity. Do you think you can survive that? Do you know what the president of the country is? So come on. Garen why? Garen why? So so mama, if you don't know ya worry, mama Gian. Mama Gian. I Gian. Live on. What's on your ball? Okay. So anyway, I want to thank all of you who have spent time being here. If we waited the baby for if you are logo, if we are I manage 5 hours. Not say average, but so I manage. I would 2 hours or 3 hours. A Prince Oteme, he was able to answer it. Yes, because of that question I asked, you can send your account 10,000 naira. Ezomo's burial is the shortest because as a generalissimo or the field marshal, let me not call him generalissimo, that is Iyase, as a field marshal, the Benin cannot afford to have the head, the field marshal of the military to be buried in a very long time. So it was coerced in the oath. Every Ezomo is buried within 5 days, which is indifferent to other nobles that are buried between 14 to 21 days. So again, 5 days is enough so that the kingdom can quickly reinstall another Ezomo, so that the kingdom can quickly have another Ezomo. So should in case it's smart. Odionmwere that the major guy that makes the military of the country to exist, you cannot take too long to bury him. You cannot take too long to bury him. So you must bury him quickly and get another Ezomo to quickly replace him, so that the military might of the Benin were always alert to invaders. So send that, you get them. So so I will finish it and so please, I've established the Ohede dynasty, and I've been able to establish that Oriagba was an indigene of Ogbe, and that is why the Obas of Benin are from Ogbe. And then the other one I established was, I first of all established the laws of succession. I established that, and I talked about Ifeanyingbe. All those unnecessary fights that we fight on social media is not doing us good in the long run. So we should just learn to mind our business. A business of the president, some majesties here, only Kaima. That is not our business. We should mind our business. We should concentrate on how to make our businesses grow, how to defend our kingdom. How to defend our kingdom is not prying into other people's affairs by making enemies. That's what only Buddha. If we like, we take. If we like, we don't take. It's only what I've said my own. But it's also that we're betting in the we'll still come out and fight. But instead of fighting, why create unnecessary? So these are some of the issues I touched. I just hope that our people will be able to see reasons why I had to speak on this matter, and how important it is for us to apply wisdom in some of our day-to-day activities on how we relate or interact with other people. So I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't praise the Oba of Benin, which is our father, to the high heavens. But while we are praising it to the high heavens, it should be with the confines of our understanding, but not to use it to sort of insult other people's monarchs. Our own is the greatest, just like and Igalama believes the Ata of Ida is the greatest king on earth. A Yoruba man, maybe he believes whether it's the Alafin or the Oni. Likewise, every other person also believe that they are here. So we believe, they believe. So let's keep to our belief. And you only tax it. Why I was it? Obama talk by you. He said.